Imagine waking up tomorrow to Bitcoin at $1 million a coin. Well, that sounds absolutely insane, right? Now imagine the opposite. Bitcoin cratering to $40,000. These aren't random predictions. They're battle lines drawn by none other than one of Bitcoin's most fascinating voices, Bitcoin builder Samson Mow, and Bitcoin skeptic Clem Chambers. Is Bitcoin heading for a hyper-Bitcoinized future, or are we staring down another brutal correction? This debate is more than speculation, and trust me, by the end of this episode, you'll know exactly where you stand. Welcome back and strap in, my friends, because you're about to learn why.
There is no second best.
Send it!
If you look at the failure of fiat currencies, they don't gradually fail. They fail spectacularly. And this is the premise behind the 1 million Bitcoin call. That it's not going to be a gradual, slow increase to $1 million a coin, but rather a very short and violent upheaval that sends us there in a matter of months, weeks to months. And if you look at the hyper-Bitcoinization landscape, what you do see is more and more countries coming out and mining Bitcoin.
I've either been incredibly lucky the last few years by being almost exactly right, or I'm right. Here we are again. It's what I said it would happen, and it's happened. And I'm now not saying it's going to a million, billion, trillion. Oh, hang on in there, millions and billions. I'm saying, well, it's near the top now. The top could be 150, but it's, I think that's stretching it.
This is where it gets real. Samson Mow, the architect behind nation-state Bitcoin adoption, paints a future where hyper-Bitcoinization isn't just likely, it's inevitable. Meanwhile, Clem Chambers, a seasoned investor with decades of market experience, calls it speculative euphoria. This isn't just an academic debate. This is about your future wealth, your freedom, and your ability to escape the broken fiat system. So grab a seat, get the popcorn ready, because this clash will shake your perspective to the core. Maybe rattle your sphincter. Samson isn't just another Bitcoin advocate. He's a builder, a strategist, and one of the sharpest minds in the space, if you ask me. He's helped onboard governments like El Salvador into the Bitcoin standard. So when Samson talks about Bitcoin hitting $1 million, he's not speculating. He's connecting dots that others don't even see.
So I would say Bitcoin is undervalued even at 100,000. My thinking is we should have probably been at 200 by now. But given all of the current macroeconomic conditions, the failure of fiat currencies around the world, the need for central banks to intervene constantly, and just the general perception of Bitcoin changing after the ETFs launched, I believe that changed the entire game. I really don't think there is anywhere else to go but to Bitcoin. And this trend will simply continue as conditions and more uncertainty arises in the world. So you might think, okay, Bitcoin is a tech stock. It's trading well. I'm going to exit out of this position and go into something else. But there is really nothing else to go into. Like, what do you want to hold? Real estate? Gold? Fiat money? I don't know. I don't think any of those things are worth holding. If the trend is that corporations like MicroStrategy are rapidly stacking Bitcoin, nation states are rapidly accumulating Bitcoin, nation states are making Bitcoin legal tender, adding it to treasuries, these things are a sea change. And I believe it signifies that Bitcoin is on the way to become the reserve asset of the financial system.
Boom! Samson's point is so simple yet so powerful. Bitcoin isn't just another asset. It's a monetary revolution. It's a hedge against broken economies and runaway inflation. And if governments are buying, if corporations are stacking, what does that tell us? Sorry to burst your bubble, but this isn't hype. It's the writing on the wall. Now, Clem Chambers, the classic bear in this debate, sees Bitcoin as another bubble ready to pop. And to his credit, he's seen financial euphoria before. And he believes Bitcoin's ties to Wall Street are its Achilles heel. But is he underestimating the resilience of Bitcoin's decentralization?
If you want to say that Bitcoin's going to get to $1 million a coin, you could be right, but you have to wait 12 years. You have to wait for another series of halvenings to get there, because in a very simple model, you can see that Bitcoin has a habit of doubling every time it has a halvening. I mean, I'm not going to go against that idea because it has made me a lot of money. And we've had our doubling, and now we're going to get probably that classic pullback, which we've seen the last cycle and the cycle before. And if you want to pull up all the moons that Bitcoin have had, there's only one on since 2010. You can go a long way back. In fact, the price was so low, you're going to have to muck about with that chart to even see it. But if you go to that, and I wrote a piece for Forbes many years ago, which showed all the moons and the pullbacks and then the following moons. And you'll see that it just doesn't go straight up. It goes up like a rocket and comes down like a rock. That's the Bitcoin cycle. And it's gone up like a rocket, and it's probably going to come down like a rock.
Clem's caution is rooted in experience, and I respect that. But here's where I think he misses the mark. Bitcoin isn't tied to Wall Street. It's eating Wall Street. Sure, institutional manipulation is a real concern, but Bitcoin's strength lies in self-custody and in its global decentralized network. And let's not forget, every time Bitcoin gets hit, it bounces back stronger. Bitcoin was designed to be attacked, and Samson had the perfect rebuttal for this one. This part of the debate struck a nerve, and shout out to you, Samson. I don't know how you do it. I can't do it with these kind of people. I end up going Max Kaiser and throwing chairs, maybe lighting shit on fire. But Clem argued that Bitcoin scarcity could be undermined by paper Bitcoin and derivatives. But Samson, he wasn't having it, and neither am I.
Bitcoin is absolutely finite. There are 21 million coins and no more.
It's not finite. It's absolutely not finite. No way is it finite. You can make paper Bitcoin like you can make paper gold.
Yeah, so I think this is the first finite asset that we've ever encountered. And to look at it as if it's a tech stock is a mistake. Clem is representative of a lot of people and maybe a lot of Wall Street thinkers, but they don't fully understand that there is simply a point at which there is no more Bitcoin available. And yes, there can be paper Bitcoin in derivatives or just naked selling, like in the FTX case, where they sold Bitcoin they didn't have. But all of these things come to roost. And again, nobody really figures out what a scarce asset like Bitcoin will do when the shit hits the fan, because it's never happened before. Every other asset, there's always been more supply when more supply is needed. And people are treating Bitcoin like these things we've had in the past, but it is a different beast altogether.
Let's be real. Bitcoin's 21 million cap isn't just a talking point. It's a technological marvel. Gold is mined in a fashion which the supply is increased when demand rises. With Bitcoin, that fundamentally cannot happen. The difficulty adjustment, my friends, is absolute genius. And as for paper Bitcoin, it's only a threat if you leave your Bitcoin in the hand of third parties. This is why we always say, not your keys, not your coins. Now, before we bring it home today, look at our likes.
First time in my life, I'm pissed off!
Let's take a minute to recognize our sponsors, the masters of Bitcoin self-custody, and your number one spot to learn how to Bitcoin and how to remove counterparty risk from your generational wealth. You're going to want to check out the Bitcoin way. Guys, being that we live in clown world, it's pretty easy to understand the why Bitcoin, but over at the Bitcoin way, that's where you're going to learn how to Bitcoin. Check out their newly revamped website. If you're looking to become a master of Bitcoin self-custody, no one makes it easier. From setting up your first wallet node to inheritance planning to everything Bitcoin sovereignty, they got you covered. Hey, and if you're looking to get started, you can schedule a free 30-minute consultation with the Bitcoin way using that link in the show notes. Now, here's where Samson took it to another level. Bitcoin as a reserve asset for governments. 4 days. Clem dismissed the idea, but when you listen to Samson's reasoning, you realize this isn't some far-off fantasy. 4 days. It's already happening.
Well, debt is a problem everywhere, and it's becoming more and more evident, right? Like, if you look at the gilts, they're already, the rates are going up right now again. They went crazy in 2022, September, and now it seems to be repeating again. But all of this is because nobody wants to lend governments money, so they pay more. And it's the same case in the US. Debt is growing at an astronomical rate, 36 point something trillion now. It just keeps going up 100 billion every 100 days or something like that. But it's just unsustainable. So something has to happen. And this is why there is a push to create the Department of Government Efficiency to cut costs, to kind of fix the debt problem. But I just don't see that being able to fix because the interest compounds and it's really hard to cut costs drastically, especially when there's an entrenched system in place that depend on government spending to function and get their paychecks. So I think the way around that is to rebase to Bitcoin. And there is hints of that when Trump was saying maybe we can use Bitcoin to pay off the debt. And other politicians in the US have said the same thing too. So if that does catch on, then you do have this step transformation of Bitcoin into a reserve asset. And this is why there is no cycle. It's just replacing fiat money.
This isn't just radical, it's genius. Imagine a world where governments rebase their broken currencies against Bitcoin. It's the ultimate monetary asset. And if you think that's impossible, remember, we've already seen countries like El Salvador and corporations like MicroStrategy lead the way. The dominoes are falling. So where do we land? Clem's skepticism reflects old world thinking. Safe, cautious, but ultimately blind to the tsunami of change headed our way. Samson, on the other hand, sees Bitcoin for what it is, the future, the foundation of a new sound money system. But don't just take my word for it. Take a look at the trends. Institutions, nation states, and individuals are waking up. Bitcoin isn't just surviving, it's thriving. If you're watching this and still sitting on the fence, you got to ask yourself, do you want to be part of the future or get left behind in the past with Mr. Clem and Peter Schiff and Taleb? You don't want to be on the wrong side of history on this one. And if you want to see what the future of Bitcoin mining looks like, you don't want to miss Mining Disrupt 2025. That's right, the biggest Bitcoin mining conference on the planet, and it's coming to Fort Lauderdale March 25th through the 27th. Get your tickets today and join thousands of Bitcoin mining professionals and enthusiasts from around the globe for an electrifying experience at Mining Disrupt. See the latest cutting-edge hardware, products, and services that are revolutionizing the Bitcoin mining industry. For over half a decade, Mining Disrupt has been the premier conference and expo exclusively dedicated to the Bitcoin mining industry. Be part of the future and join the movement that's reshaping the world of Bitcoin mining. Don't miss out. Head over to miningdisrupt.com and get your tickets today. Use promo code SimplyBitcoin for 20% off. Oh, and the Simply Bitcoin news desk will be on site. I'm going to be there holding it down with Miko and Opti, and we hope to see you there as well. Hey, if you like this one, if it got you fired up, don't forget to like, subscribe, and give us a pep by sharing this video with someone saving in fiat.
We call them poor.
And don't miss David Lin's full interview and debate featuring Samson and Clem. That link will be in the show notes. Remember, stay bullish, self-custody your Bitcoin, and we'll see you next time. Love you guys. Peace.
If you prefer to go down with the ship, you.